because it's all desert. It's very hard, you know. And so, that was my father's, that's what he was saying to the viceroy. You give me the permission to take the soldiers. I find a road across Sonora to California, and then we can make settlements over there. But he was killed, and he didn't have the opportunity, the opportunity. But all my life, I told you, everybody's telling me you be like your father. And so all my life I'm thinking, well, if we ever quit fighting the Apaches, if we ever quit fighting on the Seri War. In fact, one time was because I was down fighting with the Seris, the war down there, and the Apaches stole the horses at San Javier. I don't know if you know where San Javier is. Well, I don't know what I'm going to tell you. It's like there's Tucson is near there, Tubac is near there, Tumacacori, it's a mission. Anyway, the Apaches stole the horses there, and they run north. They come to the Rio Gila, if you know where's the Gila, the Gila River. But anyway, we got the word, and I was down at Pitik, and I got the word, the message that the horses been stolen by the Apaches at San Javier. Well, the governor at that time was Pineda. He told me, he said, you know, you take some time, you could fight the war here, you take some soldiers, you go up there and you get those horses back. Well, that happened all the time. I mean, that's been the story of my life. The Apaches take the horses, then we go get them back. We get the ones they haven't eaten, then we take those back. With the ones they already ate, you can't do anything about it. Don, this is not funny. This is the way, you know, people, well, the Apaches, you know, the Apaches are made for the horse. They ride that horse like they're the same thing. But they also eat the horse. And so they're going to eat the best ones, because we're not going to eat a skinny horse, you know, so they eat the best ones. And so when you get the horses back, you've lost some because they already ate some of them. And that's the story of my life. I've been doing this all my life. You go and you get the horses back that you can, and you bring them back, and they steal them again. And they kill somebody when they take them, and you kill some of them when you go back. And it's not the right ones, because probably the ones you killed, they didn't have anything to do with it. And then when they come down and they steal something else, and they're mad, and so they kill somebody, it was probably somebody that didn't kill the one they're mad about, but it just never stops you. It just goes on and on and on. And so this time, I was coming from Pitik. I went all the way up. I finally got the horses on the Gila River. We found the horses, what ones were left. And while I was camped there, I talked to one of those Cocomaricopas, you know, the Indians that lived there. And this one was telling me, he said, you know, I was talking to another Indian, who talked to another Indian, more on the west, who said he saw people dressed like you going north. Well, I knew on that time that Portola, Gaspar de Portola, you know, he came here first, and then in 69, you know, and in 69, he came here, 1769, he came into California, and that's when his Sargento, Fages, that's when Pedro Fages, discovered that there has to be a big river coming into this bahia, you know, this big bay, and he named it the Rio San Francisco. Well, I didn't know that on that time, but I knew they were going to California from Baja California. See, this is another problem. It's like the going on the ocean. You want to go through Baja California, that's really tough. You know, we come through some tough desert, but it's nothing like as bad as Baja California. So trying to bring supplies to Alta California through Baja California is now almost impossible. But Portola did it. In fact, Portola came over. He was one of the voluntarios de Catalonia. They came over. The Catalonian volunteers came over to fight the Seris. But they took Portola, they took Fages, and some of the others of those Catalonians, and they said, you make an expedition, and you go start presidios at San Diego and at Monterrey. But when they were looking for Monterrey, they couldn't find it. And so they missed it, and they found this other big bay. And so that's when we knew there was another big bay. Well, I didn't know all this was happening at that time, but I knew that they were going on this expedition to find out the California and to start presidios over here. And I talked to one Indian, who talked to another one, who talked to one who was a little farther over, who saw the Spaniards. Had to be Spaniards, had to be Portola, had to be his men. And so when I got back down to Tubac, after I got the horses back to San Javier, I went to Tubac, I sat down on the little table where I write my letters, and I wrote to the Viceroy, I wrote to Elizondo, my commander, and I said, here's what I done. I talked to this Indian, I talked to another one, I talked to that one, and I said, that's only 3 Indians. It can't be very far from the Gila River on over to California. We ever get finished with this war, did you let me take some soldiers like my father was going to do, and I show you that there's a road between Sonora and California? And well, you know, it took a couple more years before the war was finally over. And then I put one copy of my father's letter. I said, my father asked for this in 36, and now I'm asking for this. And if you'll let me take the time, I'll take the soldiers on my expense, and I'll find for you one road to California. Well, I finally got the permission, and that's what we did. That was 1774 in 1774, no? And we found one road. I took 20 soldiers from Tubac, and we didn't come on the Gila River because the Apaches had stolen all the horses just before we left, and so I went down to the Alta Valley to try to find some more horses. And then we came across what we call now the Camino del Diablo, the road of the devil. From there we came over to where the Yuma Indians live on the Colorado River. And we crossed the Colorado River, and that's when I first met Chief Palma. And this is a good man, was a good man. Since that time, there's been some bad things happen, but he was a good man and a good friend. And I think if the Spaniards who went there after me would have done what I told the Viceroy, when I said, you know, the Yuma Indians, they want a mission, they want a procedure, they want the missions over there, they want to live with the Spaniards. But I told them, I said, you're going to do that, you got to treat these Yumas good, and you don't send the soldiers in there, you send the priests, you send people who are going to be kind to them, and you don't just send settlers over there to take away their lands. But they didn't do that. And so I heard, well, I know because they tried to blame it all on me. When I was in Santa Fe, Chief Palma and Pablo and some of those Indians, they had a sublevación. You're not helping very much with the Spanish. What do you say, sublevación? Revolt. Uprising, no? Uprising. But revolt. They had a revolt on the Yuma. They killed a bunch of Spaniards. And of course they tried to blame it on me. They said, well, Anza, he made them look like they were better than they were. It wasn't that they weren't better than they were. It's that they did exactly, the Spaniards did exactly what I told them not to do. But I'm a nobody, you know. And the Viceroy and the commander over in Arispe are the ones who make those decisions. And I think they made the wrong decision, and then they tried to blame it on me. But we got over that too. But anyway, I was a good friend with Chief Palma, a very good friend. And he helped us across the Rio Colorado, and he helped us a little bit to show us how to get around you know, I don't know if you've ever been down there where the Rio Colorado, almost where it comes onto the Gulf. Well, when you cross it, and you get on the west side, it's meadows, you know, it's nothing but, meadows are sand mountains, you know, sand dunes. Big sand mountains are everywhere. There's no water, there's nothing. You have to go all the way around those and then come back to get to California. And so we found that out, and then we learned how we could bring, when we brought the colonizers to come over here, how we were going to have to do that. And we came over to San Gabriel. And they didn't know we were coming, you know, there were 4 priests there when we got there. Oh, they were happy, and we were happy because our horses were so tired and so hungry. We were walking, leading the horses. Feet were sore, and we were hungry by then. And they were happy because they didn't think there was another Spaniard in the whole world. And there walks in, 20-something, let's say. Well, we found the road. We were now at San Gabriel. I sent Padre Garces, he was with us, and Padre Diaz was with the first expedition. I sent Padre Garces down to the Presidio of San Diego, hope maybe he could find some horses down there. And then I was going to bring Padre Diaz up here to Monterrey with me, because you got to have a capellan, what do you say that? Chaplain. You got to have a chaplain. But Padre Diaz, he said, no, Anza, he says, we've been coming a long ways. He said, you're always getting up before the sun has come up, and then you eat a little bit, and you go all day, you don't eat until night. Well, that's right, Padre Diaz, you're just like Padre Funk later was. You got to learn how you live on this country. You have to cover the ground when there's daylight, you know. But he said, no, I can't take any more of that. He said, you make it all right. You just go without the, you go without the chaplain. And so we rode from San Gabriel up to Monterrey. I took the soldiers and we rode over here, and I showed that we could go from Sonora to Monterrey. Then I rode back down. I went down to the Ciudad de Mexico, and I reported to the Viceroy. And I said, You know, I found the road, now what do you want, now what are your orders? And he said, well, I want you to take 20 big families, and you put the colony over there on the Rio San Francisco. And on that time, all they knew was the river was coming in there, and it had to go into the ocean somewhere because it can't stay there. But we didn't know where was the mouth or anything, but they knew it had to be there. And the viceroy, the king, wanted us to be the first ones, the Spaniards, before somebody else got there. And so he said, you take 20 big families, and he said, the king is going to pay for everything. You recruit them in, and you make them soldiers, and they become the new soldiers on the Presidio at the Rio San Francisco. And then the women's and the children's, the children's going to grow up, they're going to get married, and we're going to have a colony on the Rio San Francisco right now. So you take only big families, no single men can go. It sounded good to me, and the king was paying for everything. First time I paid for everything, I had to get some help from the Vizcaínos, you know, the big money people, finance people down in Ciudad de Mexico. I said, you know, you better help out your paisano because I found the road, but it cost me a lot of money. But this time it was the king paid for everything. The people who wanted to go bought them the clothes, horses, give them cattle when they got here, give them land when they got here. I thought everybody's going to want to go. Viceroy said to me, he said, where do you think you want to get these people? I said, I know where I want to get those people because my father, when he came to this country, came to Culiacan. And right now, in 1788, Culiacan has been a Spanish city for more than 200 years. And there's a lot of poor people there. I thought, these poor people, they're going to want to go, they have a new life. And when I tell them how beautiful it is over in California, they're going to want to go. But when I got to Culiacan, I was to have a surprise, because I sent the pregonero out, you know, the crier. He went around town telling everybody, all right, tomorrow morning you come, you meet with Anza, you can go on his expedition to California. The king is going to pay your way. Just big families. Well, everybody came the next morning, everyone. And all the single men, they were ready to go. We want to sign up, we want to go to California. I tell them, yeah, there's a problem. I got right here the orders from the viceroy, said it has to be a big family, so you better go find a widow, and you've got lots of kids, and marry her real fast, and you come back, and then you can go.